Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So we've got two pieces of news, both of them kind of relatively notable. I'll spend some time on the second Studio Mir related one because it's kind of confusing, not really sure what to make of it, but we'll start with this one, which shouldn't take too long. That is just that Avatar Braving the Elements Season 4 is going to be launching next Tuesday, May 20th, the same day as the Voyage of the Unity Kickstarter goes live. So they're going to be leading off, as it says later on in this article, with a Mike and Brian episode, I guess the overview for Book 1 Air. This should be pretty exciting. Mike and Brian interview, the first one in a long time. I do wonder, they're going to be asked about it at the start, I'm guessing. Will they say anything this time because of how much closer we are to the new content, or will we just get the usual stuff? Very interested to see how that goes. Season 4 is going to be 30 episodes of the podcast, covering Korra books 1 and 2. So again, this was the question, like, are they really going to devote a whole season of the podcast to just like 12 episodes in book 1? No, they're doing 2 of them together, and I guess season 5 will be the final 2 seasons of Korra, which makes a lot of sense. They go over some of the other guests that they're going to have here. Not going to overly read into them, because a lot of the voice actor ones are kind of cool, but, you know, it's not super exciting. Like usual with the podcast, I'm going to tune into big episodes like this with like Mike and Brian, and if they have other interesting episodes, but I have a feeling I probably will end up not really watching many of the other episodes overall, like with the previous seasons of the podcast. But yeah, definitely want to do some coverage on this first one because it is a Mike and Brian interview. Then we get into this. This is Studio Mir's official website. On Twitter, people found this. They posted about being involved in a Paramount upcoming movie, and it was like, oh wait, are they back on Avatar? And yeah, and you go in, and you see it's in Korean, and there's an image of Aang. It's the image, of course. We know it's this one. Why did they keep using this? It's completely unrelated, basically. If we translate this, here's what it says. Participating in a new theatrical animation project with Paramount Animation. Studio Mir is pleased to announce that it has partnered with global entertainment companies Paramount and Nickelodeon to produce a new theatrical animation film based on the world of Avatar. This project is a hybrid animation, 2D and CG, will be produced based on Avatar The Last Airbender. Production will be led by Marianne Garger, Latifa Uwau, Mike and Brian, and directed by Lauren Montgomery. Studio Mir will be involved here, 2D, CG and stuff like that. They will be recruiting people to strengthen its production capabilities for new animations, and they have sections kind of going over some of this stuff. They have a quote about how, you know, they're delighted to have Studio Mir involved in this. And initially, I think when I saw this, I was immediately like, oh, Studio Mir are going to be animating the second movie. Because again, we've known for a very long time now that there are going to be 3 Avatar movies. The first one is The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, but we've not really heard much about 2 or 3. Was this the first time that was being mentioned? And that's great until you realize that, wait, they actually have an English version of their website. So if you go to this and you go to this article where it's I guess it's properly translated, Studio Mir joins a new theatrical animation project with Paramount Animation, and it's worded very, very differently in this one. Studio Mir is excited to announce its participation in the production of the new theatrical animated film from Paramount and Nickelodeon, which is called The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender. So that's the first movie. So immediately you switch from the initial translation that probably most people are going to see first, which leads you to believe it's a new project, to actually, wait, they're participating in the first project. I thought the animation studio was Flying Bark Animation, which it still is, because they do say they're participating in the production of, rather than, like, they've taken over, it's fully their movie. So I don't know what the situation is. Set in the world of this, 2D CG, that's exactly the same. Based on the world of Avatar, directed by this, but this time around, of course, the creators now suddenly are, well, yeah, they're the creators for the first movie. We get the full details here. Tracy Balthazar from Paramount and Nickelodeon Movies. We're excited to be working with the team at Studio Mir on The Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender. Their artistry and deep connection to the Avatar universe make them a great partner as we bring this new story to life. And yep, we look forward to delivering a project that resonates with fans. But you'll note they took out the links to some of the other stuff. So this version of the thing makes it suddenly like, oh, very different. It's just that Studio Mir have now joined late in production on the movie, which is especially confusing when it comes to this. From last month, we found out that the animation finished production last week. So basically very end of March, because this is when we learned about this, that's the start of April from CinemaCon. So it finished up production end of March. The assumption would be that Studio Mir have been working on this movie for the last however long. This was just the announcement of the fact that they are actually involved. Because otherwise, we didn't have any clue that they were actually going to be involved in this whatsoever. This is the kind of debut of that information. But then you go into some of the other stuff. We go back to like the original article and you can see here, go to notice, go to notice. So if we go to those, this is the first notice, the one that leads directly to the normal Studio Mir website. Again, there doesn't seem to be an official English version of this, so we have to use the kind of auto-translate. But it says, recruiting talents to participate in the production of the Avatar Worldview theatrical animation. This doesn't really say anything. This doesn't really say anything either. Currently, Studio Mir is recruiting talent to join the production of a theatrical animation project based on the world of Avatar in collaboration with Paramount. And they link to 2D animation roles. And this is as of 5/12, and I believe the listing is still live. But again, how does this make sense if the movie that they're working on has finished animation production and they're getting main animators kind of involved here when it's apparently on post-production? Like, what's going on here? So like, it's a weird one where like, I think it's meant to sort of be saying that like both things are happening to a certain degree, that okay, they've come in for whatever reason late-ish in the game on this movie to help out Flying Bark or whatever, but it also reads like they are building up to kind of take over from Flying Bark. Otherwise, like, why are they getting 2D and CG animators on board when we're in the final stages of production? Whereas you assume for this movie, the people working on it would have been brought in like years ago, basically. So this is what leads you to believe that actually, are they also setting up for movie 2, but they're being weird about the way they kind of word it here? Because that would be the idea, is that this is the studio. Like, this is the Korra Animation Studio, and they kind of basically formed from JM Animation, which was kind of involved with the main animation studio for Avatar. So this is the Avatar studio. They, of course, would want to be involved. They kind of, I guess, missed out at the start because they were busy working on so many other projects, but now they seem to be freed up to work on Avatar. They're recruiting now to really work on Avatar. Is this what we've been kind of waiting for all this time? Obviously, it doesn't answer certain questions about, like, yeah, Flying Bark. What were their problems? Or was this always the plan? Mir were always going to be involved in Avatar at a certain point, and regardless of what the situation was, they were going to get brought on board at some point so they can get caught up to speed, so they can be the main animation studio on who knows what. Now, this is kind of muddied, especially because who's the animation studio on Seven Havens? They don't mention that here. I don't think it is Studio Mir with this announcement, or maybe it is, who knows. That's confusing. But yeah, the other one, the 3D section actually brings you to the specific CGI Studio Mir website, which is this one here. So you can see it's slightly different. They actually have, you can see here, the EN version of this. So again, I'm not sure if this is auto-translate or if it's more of an official translation, but anyway, here's what they have to say. Now, again, it kind of combines everything together. Okay, they're participating in the production of The Legend of Aang: The Last Airbender. That's movie 1. It basically says the exact same stuff. Yeah, it says all that, and that's fine. So what's going on? It's kind of confusing in that regard. If we go to this one and we kind of auto translate it, it's basically the same thing. And they are recruiting talent, and yeah, they're recruiting talent to join into production of a movie based on Avatar, and they have CG 3D kind of post as well. So it's a very confusing announcement here, not helped by the fact that Paramount themselves, it doesn't seem like, have posted about this. It seems to have taken kind of people by surprise here. And because there is a bit of a translation barrier in here as well, there's a bit of like, well, what's going on here? Because, why when it's auto-translated does the titling get morphed just down to Avatar, but actually it was full-on referring to The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender in full. And again, there is those confusing aspects of like, well, clearly this is being announced partially after the fact. Definitely. That they've been working on this for a while now. But then they're building up crew to work now, and it's like, is this super emergency stuff that's happening here? Are we getting kind of some Korra Book 2 style stuff here with other studios kind of coming on board, maybe a little bit late in the game? I don't know what to make of this at all. It's just, again, the communication surrounding this is not fantastic, and a lot of it isn't helped by the fact that I think for us who are kind of keeping track of this, when they say like, oh, it's a new theatrical film, I'm inclined to be like, well, we already know about The Legend of Aang, The Last Airbender, but like, has it been officially announced yet, fully, properly? Not really. It is still kind of new, so that doesn't necessarily mean it's movie 2, but there's definitely like stuff here that is, Mur's involvement probably has to go beyond just we're helping out at the end of production on movie 1. So my ultimate take is probably just that, yeah, they've come in to just help out at the end of this first project, but it looks like they're probably going to be taking over as the main studio on the other movies, because again, we do know there are other movies, and I think it just makes sense. So I think I'm just going to leave it there because it is so up in the air. I don't think there's anything else to speculate about. Let me know what your thoughts are. Braving the Elements, Season 4, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think Mike and Brian are going to say on that first episode? Obviously, at the start, it is still going to ultimately be about Korra for most of it, but they're going to have to ask them something about Avatar Studios at the start. What will they say? And then, yeah, Studio Mir are back on Avatar in some form or another, but the problem is you can read this and come out feeling like they are the emergency fill-in studio doing a little bit late in the game, or they're on board for like movie 2. It's so difficult to know what exactly it is and isn't saying. But let me know what you think in the comments below. But yeah, that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.